Welcome to the first Conference of Natural Resources and Development. Now, the presentations of November 26.
The Minister for India was saying that the coal is the bread and butter of Indian economy, where they can cause significant environmental threats, and it's very expensive to actually even keep, first of all, transport and keep the ash in dumps. So you can see that between the power industry and agriculture, they account for at least 65% of the total global greenhouse gas emissions. So these two industries are under extreme pressure to reduce their carbon footprint. And the microbes, for some reasons, didn't mineralize the carbon, the carbon from the C3 plants or from C3 sources.
Finally, it results in a structure degradation by the destruction of the structure by agricultural mechanism. And the grazing is a pressure we apply over the soil. Here, there are two graphs. This graph shows the pore size distribution and this quantity of these pores. And what show that is an increase. There is a change of pore distribution in relationship with intensity of tillage, and there is an increase of this macro and mesopores with intensity on this is very important because we are reducing the carbon footprint of the agricultural mechanism and preventing the release of carbon by oxidation of organic matter into the soil.
For improving the grassland in volcanic ash soils. 4 treatments, T1 and T2, T1, T2 and T4 was fertilized. We determinate the soil physical condition, the soil nutritional condition, the soil biological species, but so the conclusions, the integrated effect of the tillage and the fertilization causes temporal variations in the parameters that define the soil quality. And the soil quality can be considered as an indicator of sustainability of a pastoral system, keeping in mind the limitations given by the rating scale of this set of soil parameters.
I will present my work called Effect of Different Pastoral Improvement Strategy on Functional Resilience of Pore System of an Anti-Soil Undershrip Grazing. Grassland in south of Chile are important because they are the main source of food for sheep and cattle. The andosols, or andisols, which are the soil formed by volcanic ashes, in southern Chile, the 91% of the 1.3 million hectares, including fertilization of grassland without tilling, as well as the establishment of new grassland tilling the soil.
Approximately 80% of productive soils have some kind of erosion associated with later desertification process.
Important. We did this study because the problem is that actually there is a deterioration and we all know that there is a deterioration in the biological condition of soil. We know that the soil is now considered as most important and diverse ecosystem on the planet. The chromatography method is a qualitative and visual determination of biological soil conditions and was developed by Ivan Pfeiffer. So in a mortar, we pulverize the soil, then this solution it runs in a filter paper. Well, then the crumbs from the different management styles are contrasting using patterns from Restrepo and Pineiros. So we have in the external area is the enzymatic zone related to the microorganisms. Then we have the organic zone, and in the central area is the air zone.
More on is the value of indigenous knowledge. So I'll quickly just go put the food situation made up of modern system, but within that modern knowledge systems, there is quite a lot of indigenous knowledge. And this picture would vary depending on the country that you are in. Selection of crops, cropping systems, even the soil itself, knowledge about the soil itself. There is indigenous knowledge on soil fertility, maintenance, irrigation, foods, even storage. And
we use negative binomial regression because the mean and variance of our dependent variable are not equal. So I conclude from this study that farmers who received information from agriculture extension are highly influenced in adopting farm management practices, so that our result reinforces the importance of agricultural extension, notably for small and marginal farmers. I also indicated that a section of farmers are yet to adopt soil conservation measures. Considering the fact that soil conservation measures are critical for sustainable natural resource management in the long run.
But all these advancements come at a significant cost. The current globalized food system is responsible for 10 to 15% of global energy use and is actually estimated, this is a conservative estimate, uses 34% of the world's land area and 70% of our freshwater resources. Meat is the agricultural product requiring the highest demand of land and water, and is the most significant producer of greenhouse gases, responsible for 9% of the anthropogenic emissions. Red meat is 5 times more greenhouse gas intensive than chicken or pork. To accurately understand a nation's contribution to global greenhouse gas emissions or global resource use, in the case of the Israeli food system, this idea is especially relevant. Israel is a country where the majority is desert. Virtual land required to supply Israel's meat consumption totals an area 20% larger than the available agricultural land of Israel. It has the opportunity to reduce both footprints by 30%.
If you work on the energy field, as we did or do, electricity demand with locally available biomass. And you see here, very short, that the idea consists in the core that we use liquid manure, we use our vision of the great transformation. We think that scientists could and should contribute to develop such prototypes, bioenergy village, satellite.
Then I will present some key points of our critical review of Zania. Okay, of course, Egypt occupies the northern east corner of Africa with the potential of having potential for solar energy. So Egypt is highly dependent, of course, on oil and natural gas. Of course, is considered a serious initiative to respond to the tremendous increase in electrical energy consumption.
And this is the outline. I will first talk on energy supply in Afghanistan as a whole, and I will then talk specifically in the 5 provinces about we were working. And in 2010, the country has only less than 1 gigawatt of installed capacity. Kind of model how to solve this problem. And I will conclude the slide with the rural electrification is very important in Afghanistan and everywhere.
So what's the motivation for doing a sustainable biomass utilization? In Chile, we have a large primary energy demand in Chile that has used for wood or corn, and you can either combust the biomass to produce heat, vapor, or electricity. Of course, if you use corn, for example, you can industry. It's far up north in Atacama and Antofagasta. The highest population density in the middle of Chile, so mostly in the regions Biobío, Araucanía, Los Ríos, and Los Lagos.
Not even a suspension, it's more like a paste with a higher solid concentration. Here you can see a picture of the bionic pilot plant which we completed about last year.
Schmuck told us after the lunch what is the bioenergy village, and the definition of bioenergy village covers ONE and make a trip to other realized projects in Germany or in other countries.
So I'm trying to see if there is some application for the Chilean reality. We use the residue heat from the system, so we can reach 85% of energy efficiency. So you don't need to use additional fertilizers. Well, it's a simple and tested technology, that's community participation system. And that is, it must be the goal for sustainable development.
For example, what are the most productive areas in
around single rural villages. Which are the risks of expansion in bioenergy?
Possibilities and governance issues and things like that. So I did that case study with a student of mine looking at the stakeholders and their discourse. So in the future research I would like to discuss about this, because the government will never use the term is it legitimate or not legitimate. It's too dangerous, like the concept itself, the term itself. So I am looking at the social.
To the first Conference of Natural Resources and Development.